Hey guys, it's Brittany welcoming you back to the world of creepy cinema, and this is my 31 Days of Horroween part. So I'm watching a different horror movie every single day, and subconsciously I kind of decided that for the most part there were going to be movies I hadn't seen before. So I'm just kind of go through all of them, give little mini reviews. Some of them will be quicker than others because there's only a few that I really liked. So I'm going to start off with Demonic from 2015, directed by Will Cannon, starring Frank Grillo and Maria Bello, and it is actually on Netflix. I just happened to come across this randomly. I've never heard anybody talk about it, never even heard of the movie. So this is a found footage movie, and the tagline says, a police officer and a psychologist investigate the deaths of 5 people who were killed while trying to summon ghosts. So I didn't love this movie. Um, I didn't find it very scary. I thought the ending was predictable. There was one cool kind of like seance scene. Um, Other than that, I didn't like the ending. I don't want to give it away, but it was kind of a horror trope that they went with, which was disappointing. So overall, I gave it 2.5 stars. Next, I want to talk about The Darkness from 2016, directed by Greg McLean. This stars Kevin Bacon, and the tagline says, a family returns from a Grand Canyon vacation with a supernatural presence in tow. So if you like kind of mythology-based horror, this might be something you'd be into. Again, I had like literally never heard of this, never seen anybody talk about it, so I figured I'd give it a shot, just out of curiosity. And like I said, this does have not a lot of mythology, but it has some mythology. And there are things that kind of unravel within the family, which are kind of interesting. The thing that really bugged me was the ending. It was clear that they were trying to go for an emotional punch, but it really didn't work out. So overall, I ended up giving it, I give it like 2 stars. I'm not sure. I'll put it somewhere here on the screen what I gave it. I have to go back and like check, but yeah, I wasn't like crazy about the movie. Next, I watched 30 Days of Night, which has been on my list for years and years, and I'm really excited to finally get to check it out. It's on TV right now, and it's from 2007, starring Josh Hartnett and directed by David Slade. This is basically a vampire movie based in Alaska, where most of the families and communities kind of go elsewhere for the winter, during a certain month where it's basically dark 24/7. So I thought this movie was so fun. It was so fun. It had like really cool vampire kills. The vampires looked really cool. Like I'd seen images of them over the years, but I just think their teeth look dope. The makeup was all done really well. I didn't know that the guy that played Robert in Game of Thrones was in this, and he has like the dopest death scene like in the whole movie. He's got like this whole sequence. Sorry, spoiler alert, but it's really cool. I like the like little romantic element that they threw in there because it didn't like hit you over the head too much. It wasn't super corny, like it still fit within like the themes of the movie and all that. So yeah, I like this a lot. Actually gave it 3.5 stars. Next, I watched The Invisible Man, which I feel like was so highly anticipated by myself for like the whole year. I was waiting for it to like become free on demand. So I checked it out and I liked it. I will say I think it was kind of overhyped for me like this whole year. So I didn't love it, but I did like it a lot. This is directed by Lee Winnell, who directed Saw, which is one of my top 3 horror movies of all time. So I had a feeling, and Elizabeth Moss, honestly, I'll watch pretty much anything that she's in because I think she's excellent. So the premise, basically, in case you don't know, is when Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she's being hunted by someone nobody can see. So this, I think, is a really cool concept for 2020. I think it's really smart and it's an interesting take on mental health. the ending, I don't know why this ending was so divisive for people. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was perfect, honestly. If you've seen it, let me know down in the comments what you guys thought. But I was like, I don't see any other way this could have ended. So that was great. The um, effects were really cool. Like I like what they did. They just looked really cool and like it wasn't overdone. And it was cool to see like behind the scenes stuff of like how they shot the stunts and things like that too. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's really entertaining. There were a couple of shocking moments. And yeah, it's worth your time. So I think yeah, I gave this 3.5 stars as well. Then I watched Teeth. This movie, you guys. Okay, first of all, let me set up the premise. It's from 2007, directed by Mitchell Lichtenstein. Dawn is an active member of her high school chastity club. When she meets Toby, nature takes its course, and the pair answer the call. They suddenly learn she's living is a living example of the vagina donata myth when the encounter takes a grisly turn. So this is a horror comedy. I don't know why it's not listed as a horror comedy, at least not on TV where I found it. And this, okay, I will say, like, in the positive side, I like that they use practical effects. I think that's cool. Um, I really don't like what they did with the family dynamic, not to give anything away, but just to vaguely put that out there. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. I think it's creepy and gross. The comedy, it wasn't that funny to me. Like, it's hard to get me with horror comedy. I'm just not a big fan. I'm picky with comedy in general. And to combine that with horror, it's really hit or miss for me. Like, Scream is like probably my favorite horror comedy. Um, but I did laugh a couple of times. And yeah, but honestly, I wouldn't. I mean, maybe if you're like drunk or something, it'd be fun to watch. But I gave this 1.5 star. I would definitely not put this on the top of my list. I wouldn't watch it again unless I was like at a party or something and I just want something silly to put on. So take that for what you will. Next, I watched We Summon the Darkness, directed by Mark Myers, and I'm surprised that I had no idea about this movie because it was released on Netflix this year. So I guess I just didn't promote it well, or I don't know, but I haven't seen any reviews or anything on this. It's got Jenny Knoxville in a small role and Alexandra Daddario. Those are probably the biggest names in this. The tagline says three best friends attending a heavy metal show cross paths with a sadistic killer after they travel to a secluded country home for an after party. I will say I do like, starting with the positives, I do like the twist that they put on this. You think that the killer is one person and it ends up being somebody else, which is cool. It's, I don't know, it's shot really nicely. I just think it's like a nice looking movie. It's supposed to be set in the 80s, but they don't try too hard to like make it look that way, if that makes sense. There aren't any like weird filters put on it or anything like that. It basically it looks sleek, I guess you could say. Um, sorry, I'm saying a lot. I feel like I noticed that. But overall, I gave this 2 stars. I think this is also a horror comedy, and I think that the comedy really did land that well. I do like the fact that you kind of ended up rooting for people that you didn't think you'd be rooting for. There's a little twist in it, so that's cool. It might be checking out if you like cult movies, because that is sort of a an element of this movie. So you might want to check it out. Next, I watched House of a Thousand Corpses, which I feel like I had seen before, but apparently I hadn't. This is from 2003, directed by Rob Zombie. The premise says two teenage couples traveling across the backwoods of Texas, searching for urban legends of serial killers, end up as prisoners of a bizarre and sadistic backwater family of serial killers. So this stars Sherry Moon, who I think that they were just dating at the time because her in the credits she's listed as Sherry Moon and not Sherry Moon Zombie. But this, I feel like all his movies have a similar kind of tone, and he likes to give them a similar kind of feel and vibe, especially like his opening credits are very similar in a lot of his movies, and he uses a lot of the same kind of music, sort of like that 70s rock, classic rock. This, I don't know, this was okay. I gave it 2 stars. It wasn't very scary. I liked the makeup. I think that the makeup for the time, for 2003, I think it's pretty good. There's like some scary looking creatures up in there, and even the normal characters who were just like in their Halloween makeup or work makeup um, look good. So that's a positive. I don't know. It's cool. It is. If you're looking for like a good Halloween night movie, it takes place on the 30th and the 31st. So like, there's a lot of characters dressed up in costumes and stuff like that. So if you want that kind of feel, it might be a fun movie to watch. And finally, last night I watched 31, also directed by Rob Zombie. This is from 2016. And the premise says 5 carnival workers were kidnapped and held hostage in an abandoned, hell-like compound where they're forced to participate in a violent game, the goal of which is to survive 12 hours against a gang of sadistic clowns. So this movie was, I don't know, I didn't feel like kind of anticlimactic. I feel like the ending was even more anticlimactic than House of a Thousand Corpses. Um, this also has Malcolm McDowell, Sherry Moon Zombie. Um, I think those are like the biggest names in this. But I thought that it was kind of fun. Again, this is definitely gives you the Halloween vibe, so it might be a good double feature to do 31 House of a Thousand Corpses, especially if you're like at a family gathering or something. But yeah, I did love it. I gave it 2 stars. I feel like some movies are kind of disappointing. Like, I feel like the only one that I really liked is The Devil's Rejects, but that's a whole another conversation for a different video. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. What I'm going to be doing is putting this up like every week to 10 days, just so the videos aren't too long. Like this included like 9 or 10 movies, and it kind of splits it up throughout the month. So, yeah, check back. Let me know what you guys have been watching so far down in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay creepy.